Man. Let me check the cam. This cam's up. We're good. Alright. I am so sorry for being MIA for a while, but we're going back in. I need to put this call drop in. But anyway, hello everybody. It's been a hot minute, and I am still in the process of completing. Why did I just cut all this down just not into its own little bit here? Oh, that's right. I'm stupid. I did all this work. I realized, oh wait, no, I could just, I don't know, not use all this. So I've got to kind of complete this, gotta do this stuff again. So give me just a quick. So, but on the meantime, how's everyone been doing since previously? Is anything I need to not really. I mean, I can talk about that separately. Got all this one here. I've got a special thing separately, specifically to talk about that. Kind of cut that into a video, but I think when we get to that, that will be the points I want to talk about. So I don't want to go there, but I'll say this: my week has been very interesting. Besides that, I've been pretty much been having to deal with side things. For example, my first of all, can y'all hear me good? Am I good with the sound and everything? So, on that note, okay, but let's see, let me find. Missing. Okay, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Thanks. Go. I'm looking for one final detail that is going to be important. So I'm looking for it. Should be close to it, but here it is. This is the I found the piece right here. This is the part that I'm just kind of like I want to see. Together. Talk about this. I also need to find that other. I'll find it. So obviously, you know, here's what the plan is for today, which is we are going to talk about all the news that came with the summer product stream for Vanguard specifically. I was thinking about it, and I am not feeling what the details were, so please. But I do want to kind of go over like some things, and of course we're going to finally rip the band-aid off with the that's not you. That's not it either. Where's the... I'm finding the last bit. I had it all last night. I was gonna do a video on it, but I was like, I am not, you know, I was just not into it. So, I can go with the flare, right? So I'm looking for this, the details on this last little bit. Oh, by the way, I am kind of contemplating doing a Skyrider video, so that could be one thing. So if anyone wants to kind of like get my impressions on Chapter 1, because it's been translated, I could do it definitely. So where's this gosh the info? I'm sure I had it. English divines. I don't need English divines. I need the. It was on Dokkan, that's right. Was it Dokkan? I'm pretty sure Dokkan is. Okay, that's cool. Okay, well, you know, glad someone was here, so I'm cool with that. I am looking for. Where is this? It was a few days ago. Oh, that's a. I can't read that one. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still on Reddit just trying to like. That's the roundup. Where is? I don't care about the Q&A. Why is there so much crap? Okay. Scale. I need you to get this thing put together, bro. Is it any official news? March 20th. Oh god, it's here. It's so far behind. Okay. I am looking for it. I cannot find it. This is really frustrating. Should be somewhere. I'm looking for the should be like under the weekly bites. It should be under weekly bites. But that's not what I'm looking for. That's 12 days ago. Bite stream. That's energy. It should be around here. I don't know where it is. Is in there official news? 5 days ago. That's not it either. Oh, hey, Emerald, how you doing? I'm sorry, I'm still like looking for this last thing, and I'm just like, I cannot find it anywhere. I'm just like, where the heck is this? Start. Not start. I literally had it, and it's just missing. Sorts. Past week. Aren't as bad as you think. Okay. That's an interesting one. Is it just gone? What the heck is going on? I'm actually just not finding thread. Okay. While I take care of this real quick, I'll be right back. Sorry. Turn that off, and it's a reminder, so you do later. Okay, so on that note, I am looking for it. Here it is. Dragon Empire. Why was it not? It was under Dokkan Neo, but why is it? There it is. Okay. I was like, why the heck is it not showing up? So I was like, is it get deleted from like craziness? All right. Kinda. Yeah, we got it. So we got a lot to kind of talk about, and oh boy, I am totally ready to talk about this. So this down. I'm almost done. I'm just like, I finally got it. And I'm just like, okay. Both a blessing and a curse. So like, I finally got it. Only to realize, oh yeah, what I got is about to be a disaster. So yeah, okay. Yeah, we can start here. This is what it is. This is perfect. I'll keep that there. That's the second one. All right. I do this so okay, let's talk about it. First off, hey guys, it's been a while. I'm sorry that I've been MIA. I know I didn't actually say real video for about 3 months somehow. I was not expecting to not release anything for 3 months. I was like, I'm gonna get this done, and then stuff happens, and procrastination and all this. So, you know, just couldn't do it in a way that was like, very, straight up. Also, so on that note, we're gonna actually talk about some Vanguard and whatnot. We're gonna have a discussion and be cool with it. So, on that note, let's see. Just check the sounds, whatever. Move on to the other character. So, I think it's only takes. So, first off, this first section will be primarily just about all the news coming out 2024, and then the news coming out 2024. I will do a secondary thing on. I'll probably. You know what? This is probably gonna be like 3 videos separately, so I can like have like some build up until I get to like the end of year stuff. So I've got this will be first off a thing for talking about all the card game news for 2024 for Vanguard. Then I will go over give my thoughts on a secondary thing based on my thoughts and potential things for the anime and whatnot. And then the third video, which will be the last one, will be us finally having that discussion over the whole start deck situation, which I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I've talked about it on Twitter. Y'all can, not talked about it on Twitter. I've kind of like been about it on Twitter, but I want to finally get my full thoughts on the whole thing. Now we've finally started reveals for it. Well, reveals. Is my camera not in the? Yeah, I think it's just kind of reveals. I would go here, but my desk kind of set here. If anything, one of the things I want to do is just get like a whole. I want to just like make a new setup entirely one day, but that's not here and there. Excuse me. So let's start. So first off, this past week we finally got the strategy presentation for Vanguard and other Bush ravines, but in my opinion, I just wasn't really one to kind of go over them. That's just kind of it. So here we are. We're going to talk about them and kind of discussion about them. So starting off, we got the full reveal Divines. We got the key visual, which was released like a day before. It airs on January 12th on the YouTube channel. Bam! It's still claimed Kinema Citrus. A detail that was not known is that this actually has a different director than Wildress, so that could be interesting. But this one, directors are fine. But if the writer ain't writing, there's only so much you can do. I'll talk about Blair. We've got synopsis about the 6 Desires and the Fated Clash. We have our main characters and their aces. Akina, the Myodo. The one who has the Fade One Miracles, Raziel. I was trying to figure out what I was trying to say, but that's right. He has the last name that ends with Do, so he is a official main character like Zero. Who's Zero? You'll find out soon. We have Taizo Kyokura. Taizo's back. Masanori's back, and they've got new forms. Welstra gets a super arm, and Zorga becomes a Cthulhu monster. I don't know. We got now Inabe, the new wife, one of the new waifus of the world. She's a first year in college or university. She's Dragon Empire and has Varga Dragus, which looks really cool. If I can look, yeah, like it looks pretty cool. kind of like an owl-ish dragon, but definitely has like Shiranui, not Shiranui, but has like Nubitama, Murakumo vibes. We've got Mikoto, who is playing lyrical, which means we finally have a lyrical rep who is a main cast member that is in like a side piece. That sounds so wrong, but you know what I mean. Like it's like, yeah, I'm the representative, but I'm only here for like 2 episodes. I'm not really there. And we have Suo playing Blindermine, which looks really cool, but like has this kind of like chess theme to him, which is really nice. So that looks cool. We have Hikari, who is Akina's little sister. Megami is back, and she's gonna be back again. She's actually doing her job. And we got Jun Fukuyama as Gabrielis, which is so funny because the last Yu-Gi-Oh anime had the voice actor for Suzaku as I. So this is a hilarious thing. So there's this hilarious twist, like both Suzaku and Lelouch have both been turned into Marco plushies in a card game anime. Which is kind of funny, so that's cool. We got the opening theme by VWP. And anything from Orphanica? I don't know. I think for the ending theme, it's gonna be hard to top like the Will Dress Season 2 one. That one's really good. I don't know, but VWP, I'd never really heard of them, and I don't know. I have to give them a chance. I'll give them a chance because I'm more so like I'd rather just kind of like go back to a little bit more like a pseudo rock thing, right? I thought like some of my favorite openings are rock-ish, rock and pop influence. So I don't know how that's gonna go, but that's alright. Fighters Rules update. Finally, Miruto is banned. If you don't know why Miruto is banned, basically she was the key piece in not 1 but 2 infinite loops, which, oh god, which is like so crazy. Because you think like, I don't know how this card is crazy, right? It's like play some Mega Rare, Soul Blast 1, and both you opponent draw a card. And you punch his card hand, your opponent's card, but it's not. It's like, how is this like a whole thing? And the whole thing is straight up, well, because Reunion Triangle can bounce cards, and because of how Lyrical is also built, you also get in other shenanigans. So you basically just constantly bounce and loop and mill out your opponent. So that's kind of the whole thing with Melista and Eve Mill and whatnot. So now it's gone, and it's effective on February 2nd, meaning that that deck will not appear at Worlds. Will be good. Sorry, let me go check the comments again. Start decks. Yeah. I'm glad Megami's here too. I think a lot of people kind of agree that like if she got kind of shafted the most, and when I finally get to my eventual video about Will Dress Season 3, which I'm still working on. I'm sorry, it's been a while, but the whole point is like when I get to that, I kind of want to talk about how just like she got screwed, but then also someone else got screwed, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be fighting with that one when I get there. So if you know, you know. So that's fun. Not a thing from Small Mountain. I'm supposed to. Honestly, I don't even remember the theme. I think a lot of the key part will be like, how do the visuals work? Right, so that's kind of the point, right? If the visuals are good, we're good. We're chilling. So, another rule update for Vanguard in 2024 is effective on January 19th, both in English and Japanese format. We will now go from main deck being 50 cards, and the cards in the right deck consist of 1 copy of each grade 1, 0, grade 0, 1, 2, 3 units from the main deck of 50. 2 cards that make 50 cards, and now the right deck is separate from the main deck, with exception, with obvious exceptions. Excuse me. So yeah, from now on, we are now technically at 54 cards for the base deck of Vanguard to play in standard. This is a standard only option, standard only thing because V and Premium do not have right decks. So I think for this change, this is a very positive change. It allows for enough space for deck building to kind of come back into play again, which means like you can fit in just a little more cards, or you could probably change it and say like, oh, this card that I had to match that at 4 because I couldn't fit this other card in. Now I can put this card in, which is more flexibility. So I can probably put this other card at lesser copies and whatnot, and you can get to go, right? I think that's a very good policy change. Here's the Q&A regarding deck size and construction. Is the card quantity limit in the main deck and right deck counted separately? No, the card quantity is told from both of them. So you still can't just have 54 cards. You still have the 4 card limit for 4 max limit for deck building. That's the whole thing. You still have 16 triggers in the right deck. For Griffin Seed, what happens to no cards main deck? Aside from the 50 card main deck, your right deck can have one of each type of cards with specified cards. For example, deck has Griffin Seed, your main deck will have 50 cards. In your right deck, have 3 claiming cards, 1 over trigger, Griffin Seed, and 1 deck crest, making a total of 6 cards. So, technically, Griffin actually has 56 cards. You actually need 6 cards in your right deck, which we'll talk about in a second, but you basically still have 50 cards. Right, so technically, you actually get an additional slot in your main deck because your right deck has the over trigger, so that might actually be a good idea. So it might be a slight nerf to like deck compression, but that will have to be for execution and whatnot. So the rule that update for also a new thing, rule update. Excuse me. Also new thing for rule update that will be effective on July 19th as well. When you determine who goes first, the player who wins will now decide whether to go first or second. Firstly, thank God. Like, you would think that would be done after all these 13 years, but nope, it's actually finally changed. That's a really good change. Perfectly fine. Means that now your deck, you're not just having to like play a deck that's specifically made to go first. Now you can play a deck that wants to go second and win, and you're like, okay, I still want to go second. So now your setup can be much more comfortable, right? So that's also good. Alright, so now we're going to the new mechanic of Divines. We'll take one of the new mechanics, but more so the generic mechanic for everybody, which is Energy Generator. You may only have one right deck crest in a ride deck, auto ride deck where you ride, put this card in crest zone if you want second Energy Charge 3. So this is the new symbol, Energy Charge. Energy Charge and Energy Blast is basically a hexagon with a hexagon version with green, so that's kind of the point. So I like the symbol. It's perfectly fine. It fits with the current state of how Counter Blast and Soul Blast looks. So Energy Charge, Energy Blast, all looks that way. So now it also has the thing of you may have up to 10 energy, and at the beginning of your right phase, Energy Charge 3, and afterwards return Energy Blast 7, draw a card. So a generic energy skill that just allows you to kind of get some extension. I think this mechanic is fine. I know people are kind of concerned because it's like a new mechanic and whatnot, but I'll be perfectly honest. In my opinion, I think it's fine. I don't think it'll be that complicated. It's just it will be complicated for new players, but if they're starting off with this mechanic, I think that's fine, and we'll get to new players later. But this is, in my opinion, I think it's fine. I don't think it'll be going crazy. I do have a theory about a mechanic that might use energy like really efficiently, but that will have to be, we'll get to that when we get there. So that's the whole point. So Q&A regarding energy generation. Why have 8 energy, I energy charge 3. How much energy do you have total? You can have only up to 10 energy, so you will get 10. So it doesn't flow over. everything does sound cool. It would be pretty cool depending on certain skills, and if you get skills that activate upon its turn. Yeah, I think that's also probably another thing about it is like I think maybe from now on, maybe one of the things that kind of held Blitz orders back was that you didn't have enough space for them, and they used your own resources. So maybe now Blitz orders can be more generic because you now can just use energy for those Blitz orders, and now you have more space to kind of put them in, meaning potential defensive options. So again, it's like I think these changes do actually buff, Blitz orders if they go the way of making Blitz orders more energy reliant than anything, or have like a mix of energy reliance and like a counter blast or a soul blast, right? To kind of like add into, make sure you can put more stronger skills on them, right? Because now it's like you're not just locked behind counter blasting and soul blasting. Now you've got a third skill to kind of incorporate into the mix of design choices. Again, we'll get to that. So more information. After getting the energy generator crest, can I get other crests? Yes, you can. It does not lock you out of other crests like the stride crest and whatnot. You only just get one right deck crest, and obviously like the other decks, like say this way you don't get locked out like a Toka Rambu or a Quince or any of that sort. So you're not just locked out of having energy for those decks. When keeping track of energy, can I use other items as counters? This was the weirdest one because a lot of people were confused, and they haven't really like talked about this yet, and I can understand the confusion. So, no, you cannot. You can use the energy counters found in the Strata products or energy cards distributed in future products. So I completely forgot to go look for the energy card. That's on me. But so the question was more so not because you don't want to use energy, dice to keep track of energy, right? Because I can understand this part because it's like, yeah, you have dice and everything, but you could also kind of like in a way like cheat a bit, right? That kind of opens the way for cheating. Now, cheaters would find any way to do it. It's totally understandable. But I think what Living Proof kind of put in his little video, the one he's done the first time about 6 months. But joking aside, with the brother, he's cool. He questions like, can you like use like a dice or something to put on the energy counter to kind of like move it around? If you can't, that's a mistake. Because it's like, what the heck are you doing? But I can only assume they will. I think that's kind of the point, right? To be like, you can use the dice to kind of count the energy here on the card itself, or use the cards. But if we're talking about like actually like counting the energy without using the card counter itself, I can understand why they're like, we don't want to do that. I can understand that, but not having a way to kind of mark the energy on the actual card itself, that's the problem. That a lot of people are coming into conflict with, and I understand. So that's another part. Alright, so another thing of energy generation. Can you put it in the main deck? No, it's only in the right deck. To put energy generation in my deck for me for me. No, it can only use through stand format because it has to be in a right deck. Obviously makes sense. I hope I did not need that. So once again, we've got the 6 main decks for the game right now. Pretty interesting. And then here we go, the Divine skill. This is basically equivalent of if you play Pokemon or there's some Yu-Gi-Oh skills that have kind of like this, like a super hard must return, must redeem effect that only really happens at a certain point. Then there's also Buddy Fight has this. I think a lot of games do have this type of skill, just not as blatant. So if you don't know, it is a skill that can use only once per fight, and it's kind of like the decisive blow depending on who you use it. This does not always mean that it's going to be an offensive skill that goes crazy. what I would probably say is what it's going to do is probably like how some skills are just like when we use this skill, it gives us a huge chunk of advantage. It does not mean we automatically win the game. It just means we get an advantage push that should help us push for the game. Say so, for example, right? We've got a dragon right here. Say it's like, okay, your divine skill is you can restand 3 times. Or say this card is your opponent cannot guard with trigger units or something. This skill, like your front row gets a critical in 10k power. This skill, it continues. This skill could be like you heal 3, and for you heal 3 or send 3 heals from. You can either heal a card or send a card from your a trigger like a heal from the drop zone to the bottom of the deck, and can use this up to 3 times, right? So that could be interesting. This could be you could perform a second Alka magic. You know, this could be you could bounce during the battle phase. You could probably bounce the whole board and call a whole board again, right? Could be stuff like that, right? And it's like you proc effects based on the shenanigans suited there, right? That could be like the key, right? I don't want it to be something like it's like you just straight up win the game off of it, but I mean you could win the game off it technically, but you know it's very much like I think the best option would be like a flexible move that allows for like player skill to know when to use it. I think that's fine. This is also my other thing is I truly suspect that this skill won't be available unless you pay energy 10. I think that will probably be a good connection because it's like you've made all this energy generation, why not just why not have these cards kind of aligned together, right? With that tactic and be like, hey, if you don't have energy, you can't use this divine skill. Now, what does that mean for premium? I don't know. Honestly, I don't really care. I'd be cool if these skills were just locked to energy, meaning like if they were busted, premium doesn't have to deal with them, right? You just have to deal with the regular skills, which is perfectly fine. I know people will be upset. Well, premium doesn't get a super skill. Like, do you want this to have super skill? I'm gonna be honest with you, I would not. So that's it. So next, they've also announced the first 2 sets. Set 1 is called Fate Wars, I think, which everyone made the funny thing of, oh, this is Fate Stay Night. We'll get to that when I get to that update video. And it's the second set, which will add in the Dark States and Stoicheia Fated. So this is also another thing of it reveals that a change of Bermuda Triangle or Lyrical Monsterio, in this case, will be added into main sets from now on. Which, if you don't know, the last time Bermuda Triangle was in a main set that was not a special set, a Fighters collection, or like a premium collection, collection, was in set 2 of the original Card Vanguard 13 years ago. They've been in separate sets ever since. And I think the point of this is and I think I could probably give it to this, and this is why it's a good thing. This is why it's a good thing. I'm sorry, I'm trying to flip this up. So this is why it's a good thing. Back with Bermuda had a straight up main goal. It's bouncing, right? That's the whole thing. They bounce cards on hand to call them and get effects. Now with Lyrical is basically become kind of like this mishmash of all the nations, right? Because like you could kind of like I make the joke that Lifa, the big giant from Lyrical, is a Keter refugee or something like that, because just the way Keter is, like Keter does not really care about the lower class, so she's basically got sent off to Lyrical for, because she's a lower cost person. Lyrical, she can become something in lyrical, and become something big. So that's the whole point of that. As for but that's the thing, like every other, but like they're mixed together, so they all have different effects. And as such, it got really muddy in what they were trying to do with lyrical and everything. So that's kind of my point. I think after 4 main sets and a whole different thing, I think it's kind of like realization that you can't do that with lyrical, because it's just a certain point, like just no one's gonna catch up, and now you've got this point of so much filler has to come through, and it's like old decks are just getting set by the wayside. Now if you put them in main sets, they're gonna get the same level of support as everyone else at the same time, and everything's gonna be fine. Right, this is something that should have happened way back in the early D, but I think they still wanted to see if that worked. I think another issue is that the aesthetic of lyrical is different. Bermuda was a whole bunch of idols that were mermaids, and they had their own like aesthetics and whatnot, that were all unique and visually understanding, right, based on their base outfits. Say, right, you had duos, you had prisms, you had all this other stuff there. Hey, how you doing? Like, I'm not the best manga YouTuber. No, that belongs to someone else right now. But what I was trying to get at is, so whereas lyrical, they're all in school uniforms. I think another example of this kind of like dislike of how school uniforms are, because they feel like they take away individuality, is like no matter how much you change your stuff, at the end of the day, you're still looking like everyone else around you. And I don't think people really kind of vibrated with that. I mean, people synchronize with that as much. So I think that is another whole thing. So another example you could probably put is Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Regardless of how you think about that game, one of the issues people consider is an issue is that you're in a school uniform. I mean, if you listen to the PKM cast, like one of the biggest criticisms they have is that you can't change your outfit to anything else in that game, which obviously is a valid criticism, but at the same time, it's specifically there for a reason of, you're in school, and it would break the kind of theoretical, the feel of the storyline, right? That's kind of the point of it. So I think if you're going to do this, I think this is probably the best thing. Now, the thing is, because this signature one is not in a uniform, it makes me question, are they going to kind of go back into more of showing outside of the school itself and more like the actual idols that have existed, since 3,000 years, the ones that have kind of come to actual, like, cool, level D, people who aren't just in school. If that's the case, you want to do a mix of that and the school stuff, I think that's way better. Excuse me. I think that's really cool. So I think overall this change is going to be good. Now, what this means for, the special rarities, like these special rarities they've had, like SCRs and, idol rares and whatnot, I don't know. I forgot where I saw this from. I think it was from a Facebook post. But I think someone said it, like, would it be nice if probably, like, say, like, somewhat halfway through the year, they did, like, a special set, like a reprint set, and in that reprint set, they gave these lyrical cards alternate, the high rarity lyrical cards alternate outfits, or like, more so just kind of like, to keep the, the high rarity stuff intact, but also keep the identity of lyrical the same too. And I was thinking, like, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. that sounds like a fantastic idea for making like lyrical, like fitting the main sets while also connecting like there's, their obviously money making gimmick together, right? Like use these reprint sets to just kind of be like, hey, here's all arts, here's regular arts, there you go. Buy these reprints that you have access to other decks in games, right? I think that'd be interesting. Speaking of reprints, they officially said they're going to, create new Sentinel artworks. So, right, they're not all dragons now. That's really good. So now you can actually, like, add more personality to your deck itself based on which Sentinel you want. And it's not a taste between Dragon 1 or Dragon 2. No offense to those dragons. They were cool, but, people want more than just dragons on dragons. Next, they're going to bring in more triggers, which will be new common triggers that will be Cray Elementals, which that is really good too. I like, having more generic triggers into the pool. That's great. Fantastic. And then they are also reprinting over triggers as double rares, which is also good. And what's even more interesting is that they are printing the dubbed, community dubbed red and blue over triggers too. So they will also get reprinted, which means their price will also get down, which is also good because holy cow, up until the Sheer Nui Stride deck set released, this was the most expensive over trigger next to these two. So now they're all getting reprinted, plus the Stride deck sets. Like, this is all the over triggers that matter are now going to get reprinted to the ground, and I do suspect that a lot of people are going to buy into the set one, especially if any of those decks are actually, at least I would say if 2 of the decks in this set are decent, the main builds in this set are decent, I say this set's going to sell a case just off of the Overture reprints, new PGs, new crits. It's another core set. So let's kind of move on to this. So I'll move on with that. We'll talk about that later. So we've got the product schedule, which is that was just that was just stuff that fell down. Okay. We got for English. We've got the start decks on April 19th, excuse me, and Booster Rec 1 and 2 will be coming soon. Hold on, sorry. Let me read this. Yeah, they are presenting held back and forth, which is good, but no idea how they affect the market because of demand. These are great reprints, which is 2 box. I'd say overtriggers are probably just gonna be 1 a box. If we go by how the past sets were, they were always like at least 1 a box, so you always got 1. If we're going off the ridge of this, I think someone kind of predicted that based on how potential rarities and whatnot could go in like the actual details. It should be around like 3 over triggers a case that are uniquely different, 3 to 4. Which if I would love for red and blue to kind of be the 4 on that 4 side, but most of the time, which would be interesting. So my thing is for English, this being April, while basically Japan starts on January for the child decks, but the booster pack comes in February, while set 2 comes in April, while we'll be at set 1. I don't like how we're getting far behind again, which is very frustrating because we really want to play set 1, set 2. And I think a lot of the issue with games where like you're very much Japan first is that depending on when you release, it very much is like an issue. Now I don't know what the logistics are going on in the English side of the game's office and whatnot, and trust me, I really want to know what's going on there. I'll be able to talk about it. And but I think this is coming past April, say like a May for set 1. Will be kind of like, right? It's like we're just really behind, and I'm just like, where did we get behind from? This is kind of crazy. So let us talk about the upcoming tournament stuff segment. So this is obviously for spring. Bushy Road Spring Fest is obviously going to be back, and they have now added Shadowverse Evolve to it, which means Shadowverse now potentially gets teams. We don't know much about the details about Shadowverse Evolve for teams here in the West, but I would assume it would be teams. If not, maybe some more solo tournaments, because they kind of got screwed out of BCS or like the Shadowverse circuit and whatnot. So they're up in Stringfest now, so that's cool. So we'll get to this in just a second, but they also announced a special tournament series launching together with the release of Booster Pack 1 and the Star Trial Decks. Participants can join in this tournament using the ride lines only found in Booster Pack 1 and Star Trial Decks. We will get to that. This will be an ongoing series while future Booster Pack releases. So if the idea is, we'll also have a second tournament series for when a set releases, I'd be interested in that. That seems like a pretty interesting concept. So I like that idea. And then there's also Vanguard Day, which is a ultra competitive event starting from May onwards, which I would say is probably when set 1's going to release. Champions get to walk away exclusive paymats. So that is more info. So let us get to the controversial part of this whole thing. So Kara Vanguard Tri-Regulation Team Tournament. A team format with a twist. Each member will participate in a different Carve Vanguard format. Standard format for Bush Wrestling Fest will be held as usual. And so, let us talk about why people are concerned and upset and whatnot. So, it mostly has to do with a two-pronged thing. So, first thing is, standard format will be held as usual. For this kind of format, I think I'm going to start with my preface on this. I do not think of Springfest as the competitive season. I think of Springfest as more of a fun, goofy format where you and your friends play Vanguard together, or play Weiss together, or now Shadowverse Evolve together. There's nothing that really says... Why are we playing? Hold on. Oh, I'm done. I'm done. So, nothing about it ever screamed to me like you should be ultra competitive in a format for literally goofing around. Especially with the way the format is, right? So, but that's just me. I've heard, I've talked to Solon on Discord like a couple days ago, kind of like getting more information about it. So, this is why this is controversial. So, on one hand, Standard also gets a Springfest. But on the other hand, in the West, we don't play Standard as much as Japan does. Standard is crazy in Japan. Mostly because we're, one, more so for cultural things. Secondly, because Bushiroad just wants to push Standard until the cows come home. But here in the West, we play a lot of Premium and V. Like we're really the only like format that really plays V like that. As much as people want to die, we still play the dang format. So, on that note, so the whole thing is, because it's a tri-regulation team format, and we're having Standard, that means Weiss and now Shadowverse eat up the slots that Premium and V would have taken. So that means for those Premium and V players who don't really get a lot allow time to fire tournaments because everyone's either playing standard or playing V. One of your true circuits basically just kind of got reduced into trying to scramble for a new team. Which, it took me really a while to kind of figure out, but I understand, right? So it's like standard players basically get like 2 days to kind of like fire, and premium and V players basically now have to kind of like fight over each other onto which format they don't like to play. The format they're least likely to want to play at the major to play it. So that is an understandable, like a whole understandable thing. For me, I think at the same time, I think this is also a good thing for standard players who be like, okay, my team plays standard, but we want to play day 2. I've been wanting to play a premium, or I want to play a V. I guess I can finally dip my foot into one of these formats to kind of put it in there, and maybe like we have like a 4th team member who plays the other format. I didn't choose, and we just go from there. So it's a very hard double-edged sword. Like on one hand, it's like standard players. You could have standard players that finally get a new format they want to play, and be cool with that. On the other hand, premium and V players have a chance to like not play the format they prefer, right? I think another point I also said here in that discussion with someone was that, in my opinion, these formats are, by the time you get to Springfest, those formats are going to change. I mean, Vanguard quite literally will not be the same from December 17th, 2023 to say March 2024. Because by March, or by extension April, when the start decks come out, we will quite literally be in 54 card standard size. We will have brand new ride lines with brand new main bosses. And in the middle of that tournament season, we will also get a new main set, which will also introduce new bosses. So maybe you actually like a deck in standard and are actually excited to play standard, or maybe a card for V with these. Maybe we get something new for V or something, and be like, hey, you know what? This actually is kind of cool. There. My opinion is, I understand. I think to put a long story short, I completely understand people who are upset. Premium and V players who are like, man, I gotta play a different format if I wanna, in case my group all plays our premium or V. And I understand that. That is perfectly fine, because like, you want to have fun, you want to be comfortable, you want to be chill with a format you like. I understand. But I think there's also some positives that shouldn't just be thrown out the window because you aren't accommodated. I think that's just kind of the best way to put it, right? It's like, this is a mixed bag for everybody, and I think that should be kind of kept into account. Not to mention, we also have, BRO is gonna hopefully still continue, and we've got BCS coming out soon. So there's a lot more time for you to get more reps in a competitive environment as well. I've seen some card shops actually start to host their own like little championship series. They're starting to kind of get back in their own like little cat series with like city whatnot. So maybe we'll actually like start ramping up and going crazy from now on. And I think that'd be pretty interesting. But I understand. I think that's the point they're trying to put. I understand premium V players. I am a V player. I literally am one of the people saying we can't get rid of V. In fact, we need to support V. Be a lot. So like, I understand like wanting to play my format completely. So I wish Car Ranger Zero came back with game flow. I do wish it's kind of thing like I wish Vanguard Zero came back. I think really like the problem is that they really botched G-Era so badly, and it very much was that feeling of, for talking about the Vanguard Zero part here, and it really was that feeling of the fact that we went through a whole year and they refused to change it. Basically, was the equivalent of like we really do not care. We're only doing this until we get to assume. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay. I guess like the music exploded the sound. I'm sorry. Let me turn this down. Is that good, or do I need to turn down just a little bit more? I didn't realize it got that loud. I'm sorry. So let me see. Okay, so a little bit more. This would be good. Maybe I should turn myself up. To turn myself up just a bit work. I don't know. Is that good? Is this fine? Is this perfectly fine? Let me see. Maybe like the sound just kind of changed. Yeah, that remix is probably like a lot louder than usual. So yeah, that's my whole point on it is, I think really just like I wish Vanguard Zero returned, but if we're going to get the same things we got with G, I'd rather we not, because it's very obvious, like, if we get a moment like that of they don't listen, they don't care, and Global has to effectively, like, give out so much stuff. Like, Global gave out basically a stimulus package, and it still wasn't enough. Like, because pretty much, like, Game Studio is a terrible game developer. I'm sorry. I got call it. You killed Trimon, and you fumbled Trimon, and you fumbled Vanguard Zero in the back half of its lifespan. Like, you didn't listen to your player base, you didn't listen to your community, you didn't listen to anybody. Like, you really just took the money and ran. Like, why the heck should we care about? Why the heck should we ever play a game you make for? That's why I'm like, that Monster, what was that, Dragon Quest? That Dragon Quest game? Like, don't play that Dragon Quest game, bro. I forgot which game it was, but, like, don't do it. The game they were working on, I thought it was Dragon Quest, and... Okay, thank you. That's good to hear. Okay. So, as for, like, a new one, I would like it if, like, they did do, like, a Master Duel-esque thing for Vanguard, and it also has, like, a mobile component. I think Vanguard would be perfectly fine there. I think Vanguard could just work normally on a regular phone. I understand what they were doing with Zero, because they were like, well, you know, in Japan, like, you can just sit down and, you know, train rides along. Like, you can basically just kind of play trains along. You've got a infrastructure for online. You basically just, like, hit up your phone and play games and be good. Or they can redo it. I mean, obviously, you get a whole new studio to redo it, but then they probably just make a whole new game. So it's kind of things like at that point, just make a whole new game, because I do not trust Game Studio with the singular thing anymore. After they killed 2 games related to Bushiroad IPs, so. Alright, so that's just my thoughts on that. What was I think I talked about just about everything. Well, everything sane, you know. Okay, let's just kind of take a quick break, because, whew, that was a lot, and we were streaming for like an hour and 14 minutes, technically. Let me take a sip. Choosing my fun studio. Let's just try it. Okay, so on you, Yuan. So I don't think they're scared to unplug their days. I think they're always going to release more. Eventually, there's a reason. It'd be messed up if they like had that literal point in Wilderness Season 3's finale where they show Set 13 stuff, only to not release the Set 13 stuff, which would be hilarious. It's like, wow, you just did all that for nothing. And that'd just be funny, but also, yep. That means like Dear Days would have to have flopped so bad in the second wave, which, to be fair, I think it probably would have. Like, they would have to literally be like, no, we gotta cut our losses here, bro. Like, y'all have released garbage and no one's buying it. And for you, Nerd, on your comment, have Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links be Rank 0? I think the problem is that the Duel Links team also is just a Konami inside team. So that's one, they're pretty much contracted to Konami, like straight up, like they're actually workers for Konami. And two, why would Konami touch Vanguard? Have I played Reverse Dying? I have not. I have not. I've mostly because it's like I'm already like on like a way more gacha games than I ever wanted to. Like I play Honkai Star Rail, I play Genshin to an extent. I haven't played a lot of Genshin since Sumeru because I thought Sumeru was terrible visually. Like I think Sumeru's aesthetic to me just did not click with me. Like even if the new one, Fontaine, is a really cool location, I have to get past Sumeru, and I don't want to do that. Plus some other quality of life stuff that Genshin does not have that Star Rail has, that I'd rather just like play Star Rail more. Right? It's just a matter of like taste for that point. And then I'm also into Nikkei, right? So that's a whole other thing, right? Like that's 3 games plus technically I have an account on Honkai Impact 3rd, and Seven Stone Zero is gonna come out. So really, I'm already there. I wanted to do Limbus Company. Like Limbus Company is a game I really think is really cool, but I'm also kind of stuck in a position where I can't do it. And while I'm holding this plastic sword up, also another issue is because I feel like I would not be free to play anymore if I did. Or someone should make a Black Board game. Well, the whole thing is actually, I know that the Buddy Fight area team, which is also the same team that is, a similar team that is also working on Card Fight area, is actually going to do a hard update to Buddy Fight area to not only just not only add in more details for the cards, but also with the Thai reboot. I've already done a video on that. That's on the channel. They're also going to update alongside that, and they've been basically making it cleaner, and then also they're making it cleaner and also just making it allowed to what am I trying to say? They're making it cleaner and also enabled for the new rules that they added to come in, right? Because Thailand has also released very unique cards, as well as new gameplay and mechanics that are going to come in with that official reboot next year. So it makes sense that they'd probably be prepping ready. So I don't know if when that update's gonna come, but I would say pretty much when Buddy Fight area does that update, it's gonna be there. I also been started off with Blade. I don't really have a favorite character. I mean, I hard grinded for Jingu. No, my favorite character is Civil War. That's it. I don't know why I even tried a lot. just Wolfie is just cool. So, speaking of another reason why I probably can't play Reverse 1999, I have somehow, in the past 6 months, just started to become a collector of Megazords for Power Rangers. Like, this just came in like a couple days ago, and this is the the Dairenal / the Thunder Megazord from Power Rangers Season 2. I got it. I got this. It actually came with the base for it. I don't have the sheath for it, but the sword's right here. And then the funny thing is also, like, it not only was just the Megazord itself, which is 30 years old, but it also came with, the White Tiger itself too. So I have the Tiger and the actual, Thunder Megazord itself. Are all good there. So that's another thing. And then I was working on it, and I've also got my dang it, that fell off. I also got the the Operation Overdrive here in the States / Boku Ranger Ultrazord. This is done too. So I've got that. Oh, jeez. Okay, I need to fix that later. I'll take care of that later. That kind of popped off. That's fine. And then I got the... And I also... Because of some shenanigans, I bought the Lost Galaxy, the Jingayo Megazord. And I did something stupid in which I bought it twice, because I got the first one because like this bottom part was part of the first one. Basically, I got the first one for like $70, and then I got and then I realized that not 70, more like 50 kind of combined, because I bought the cat separately and then found the other four swords for like 30, 40. And then I realized, oh wait, these don't come with the hands, because the hands are like a separate piece that you lose a lot. As well as the other part is like the separation of the green swords like feet also weren't part of it too, because I'm dumb. So I had to buy a second one with the actual with the actual feet for the green sword and the arms that come on the blue sword, which things. I still don't have the horns, because the horns are also separate. Because the horns are all separate for no reason. Because this is built back in the day, long ago. But I know a place I can get the horns. I can probably find them on eBay. I'm hoping I can find like horns for cheaper, because the one I'm looking at is like $70. I get it, but also hell no. So that's another thing. And then I don't think I said this on stream, but I also in my closet right over here, I'm pointing to it there, like I've got every single Q Ranger Zord. I've got all of them. The Orion ship, I got the rocket, I've got the 11 that appear in Cause of Fury, like I've got that, and then I've got all of the English release Dino Fury ones, which is the what was it called? Like the Knights one, the Dino Knights series. Like I've got all the ones that came in English, and that was 5, 6, and there was like 8 Zords. They only had 8 Zords. I've got the if I can get it, I've got the Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin, like right here, which is small and everything. It's all right. I think I like it, but a lot more flexible, which is pretty cool. I like that. And I've got the if I can grab this real quick. I've got the super mini paw version of the Astro Mega Ship, which if you don't know, like City Mini Plus, like if you know like Gunpla, basically it's just like a mini, a Gunpla-fied version of the Zord itself. So you had to build it, put together, and whatnot. So you can also just like take it, take out the pieces and actually transform it. I'm not gonna do it right now. So yeah, I've kind of like somehow in the past year just kind of became a crackhead for Power Rangers Zords, and it's kind of funny. Let's see. Yeah, I was glad I kind of got that deal for like 100. I'm like, yeah, that's dope. Also Tyler's back. I'm glad Tyler's back too. I feel like he really got shafted in season 2 and 3. Like he didn't really do anything. So in season 2 and 3, real trust. I thought he was a pretty interesting, a pretty fun character, but he just never got the time to really like, show himself and whatnot. So that's one thing. So I'm glad he's back. Yeah, Power Rangers for Child TV show. I love Power Rangers. I kind of came back into like wanting to come back to Power Rangers. I think basically when I finally got to watching RPM, which I didn't know. The funny thing of RPM is I didn't know RPM existed. I think I saw toys back in the day, but I didn't know what they were. But I didn't really know that RPM existed. But I never knew anything about it until I finally watched the show, and I was like, this show is pretty cool. And then, it took a while, and then I finally got into Power Rangers, and now here I am, got 18,000 swords. Oh, that's also right too. I also have the Lightspeed Rescue, their first Megazord, and I also have the Super Train too, because that was my favorite Megazord back when I was a kid. Like, for example, hold on, let me pull out. Let me pull this out. But yeah, I've got the train itself. I've got all the connectors there too, and I also have the. If I can pull it out. I also have all the Lightspeed Rescue Zords in here too. This all kind of compact. Actually, nice for compaction. I like that. That's really good. So yeah, all my money is gone, so I can't really spend it on gacha like that. That's my excuse for not playing Reverse 1999. And this stuff comes to Power Rangers. I saw up to date with now. Start watching SPD. Newhan, I'll say this. On YouTube, there's a channel called Power Rangers Official. It has every Power Rangers season from the first season to, I think. Let me look for it real quick. Up to, is it up to? Let me see. Playlist. It has up to, I think, Megaforce. I think it has. Yeah, I think it has all the way up to Megaforce in terms of episodes themselves. But it does have live streams. It also has a 24-hour live stream that kind of goes on most of the time for say series that it kind of for things, right? It's got right now it's got a live stream for Jungle Fury, Megaforce, Super Samurai. Right, it's got that. And I think Dino Charge and I think Dino Charge is also on here, and Ninja Steel. I think that's it. I think everything else from Beast Morphers onwards is on Netflix. So yeah. Let's see. They're very old. Basically, yeah, the figures are basically very old. Again, over 30 years. The villains are your favorite? That's cool. So yeah, I just got into it this year. I've seen Decade Build and I've seen Decade Build, Xaid, and Shin Kamen Rider. I have seen most of Kabuto. I need to go back and finish it, but that's it. Um, let's see, is that? What happened? Did I die? Huh. I don't know. Did I disconnect or something? But yeah. That's basically it. So, let me take a quick break. Then I'll come back and talk about the actual main guest of the whole thing. So, I'll be right back. See ya.
People come and they
Okay. I am back. I am back. Just had to check on some things and woohoo, decisions were made, and I'm just a little sad about it. But besides that, I think we can. On that note, so we all had that nice, good. We had that nice, good discussion, right? We had a nice, fun thing. We talked about Power Rangers, Comrade. I kind of just went crazy on that. All right, time to ruin the mood. Time to kill the vibe completely. We're back on Vanguard, and we went from the interesting, cool, fun changes, and now here we are about to do the unfortunate thing of ripping into Bushiroad for making a dumb decision. And this might be not the magnum opus, but it is pretty dang close, and we'll talk about it. So, like I said, this is going to be a separate video from the live stream itself, because I think this is what I'm about to say is going to be very important. We have this discussion, because otherwise, not a lot of this is just going to be, construed here, because I feel like I couldn't really put a video on it together, because part of it was just I feel like everyone said what they needed to say, or said what they had to say, and then I was like, what, I do want to talk, because just the way the whole week has been, I do want to actually talk about this itself. So here we are. I saved it for last, because at the very least I can get my feelings in order and check, and be good. Let's kind of talk about it. So, announced in a Core magazine post that was originally for Japan, because they finally got Vanguard Core magazine, which is really dope. They announced that there were going to be 6 start decks. I think I didn't have the image. We'll get to that. So I was really going to show the image. Let me put this up. So yeah, let's do this. So yeah, let me show you. Yeah, we've got 6 start decks for all the nations, and they were going to release in January, and we get ours in April. So there's that. So they were known as the quick start decks in Japan. They're going to go for around 700 yen, and that is the whole point. And we will get to all the stuff concerning the English version in just a second. But when we talked about the whole thing when they finally showed more information, they showed that what was in this thing. There's going to be 6 type start decks, only 1 card type with abilities, the Grade 3 Vanguard Sentinel. So what they basically said was, all of these cards in the quick start deck are going to be vanilla cards. They're going to be basic vanilla cards that have no skills except for the Sentinels and the Grade 3 Vanguard. That's the boss unit of the deck. So that is the whole point of the deck, is to be a learn how to play whole thing. And there's going to be a special tutorial video in production that helps more people learn about the game as well, that probably be connected as well. So I'm trying to find, do I have anything? So for example, in the start deck, it will have the ride line cards, it'll have the signature card in the start deck, it will have the energy generator, and I don't know why it's kind of like this, but everything you see here, for example, this is the Dragon Empire start deck, is pure vanillas, including the actual vanilla from set 1, from the very first start deck. Then there's the Sentinel, which will have the Sentinel skill. Then we'll have 4 of each: crit, draw, front, and heal, all with new arts which they all look cool, right? They're all right here. I wish you could kind of pop them up a little closer, but that's what it is. So that is the whole thing. But also, what these dark decks will also have is two like upgrade PRs. The first one will be a random trigger unit with an effect, which, you know, comes with a say you will get one of these three randomly inserted into your start deck. So you get either the front, the draw, or a crit as the effect triggers, right? And okay, I mean, I wish you rather just give them one of each so that they understand what each of them do. But you also get a second PR card, which is a print of the special sentinels from the upcoming booster pack, right? So this is like the new booster pack for Divines. They get sentinels, so you get those as well. And there's also a rare chase for that sentinel unit to be replaced with Elementary Sanctitude. So we're already on our first controversy, and we haven't got to do those yet. So the first thing is the two PR cards. When originally people were like, why are they making promos? You know, if you don't know, promos have been like a very complicated thing in Vanguard, so that's a whole thing. But when we got the reveal of, oh, they are, you know, just the PR cards that are actually just sentinels, the triggers with effects, and then we found out the thing's just a upgraded version of the sentinel that is just in the next booster, but you also get a presumed 1 in 6 chance for Elementary Sanctitude to get replaced. This was better, but it's still not great. For one, obviously the question is, why are they just PR cards? Why don't you just not put them in the deck? You know, that's a whole debate you put. Then there's also, why are you just getting one of these three? You know, that's kind of crazy. Why not just one of each in the actual PR card and be like, hey, this is what they look like. You know, you can find more, etc., etc. I think that could be much better used, implemented, whatnot. Secondly, why can't you just put Elementary Sanctitude in the deck itself instead of just having it be like a gotcha version of the thing, and just not have players have to hunt down Sanctitudes that are kind of necessary. Now, Sanctitude is very much a meta call in Standard. I think that's pretty much it. Like, if there's a lot of grade 4 decks, obviously you want Sanctitude. But Sanctitude is still like one of those decks that's like, if you have triple drive, it's very necessary. So, who knows what that might be. So, that's one thing, right? I think having like a preview card, like a preview upgrade, is actually fine. That's, ironically, the Sentinel is the one I'm the most cool with here. Everything else is kind of like very questionable, but it's less questionable than what else. So, let us go into the part of the second part, which is the promos. Not promos, excuse me, the vanillas. So, what they have shown us is that in these starter decks, you know, we'll have 50 cards, and then the 54 right deck things. All the cards with stars on here, so for example, this card, the right deck, as well as, you know, these two, these three, that one right here, are all vanilla cards, but they are also accessible in the main in set 1 of Divines as actual cards with effects. So, for example, they showed what the actual effects are. Pretty okay effects, nothing really too crazy. I think if I were to look for them, you know, I think you can read them yourself. There's multiple places you can read them on the wiki. You can read them on Reddit, which is where I got the images from. But I think what kind of upsets me is that the real reveal is that all of these cards with effects aren't anything crazy. In fact, if anything, it makes me even more upset that these cards aren't just in the starter decks themselves. Like, they're nothing insane. Right, this one is just, you know, you gain 1,000 if you retire a card. You can, when it's discarded from right, they can call it as rest. You can Catalyst 1, Energy Blast 3, draw a card, get plus Energy Blast 2, draw a card, get plus 5k. I forgot what this one does, but you basically like retire a card and you draw a card for Soul Blast 2. Right? This was your generic base starter in Standard. Like, this should have not should have been in the Ride deck itself. Why was it not? Why are all these right there? Mostly commons. I think that's kind of it, right? Oh, excuse me. This one is like a rare. These two are like rares. So it's like, okay, we now know that. Which now, this is a double-handed thing. Double sword. This is a excuse me. What this does is a two-pronged thing. For one, it basically means that most of the deck is now full of phantom cards, which phantom cards is a term I have created for kind of like laying down what I think are cards that don't have effects, but you have to have effects. They're they're different from a card that's going to be in a booster set. For example, I think the Leonorn, Jejuled, and Youthbirth trial decks, those main bosses I call phantom cards. Because those aren't the real bosses. The real bosses are actually in main sets. These are bosses, quotations, in the fact of they technically work, but at the same time, they're missing a key part that just makes the cards just arguably better. For example, like all the phantom trial deck bosses only have their battle effects, which is very good for showing like what the deck's main gimmick is going to be when they finally release. But also when you realize that the whole point of, like, say 2/3 of those decks, and 2/3 and really all three of those decks are those like main phase effects. For example, Leonorn wants the Catalyst when you draw a card, you can call grade 1, so that it can actually turn on its abilities more, has more consistency. Same with Jeweled, and same with Youthbirth. Youthbirth literally can't function unless it gets a revolve form in hand somehow. So having those consistency effects be cut off and put into a booster, meaning they have to spend money to buy packs or buy singles, is what I mean by like a phantom card. It means that it is not really going to be used in the long run unless you are literally like on like a super duper budget. And to be fair, I understand all those decks were not budget most of the time. Right, so that's the whole point. So, that's what I mean by phantom cards. So now it also reveals with this, it reveals that the start decks are phantom cards. Which means these cards right here aren't real cards. They aren't actual cards that do anything. But it also basically puts into the details of the set 1 that basically some of the commons and the rares of the decks that assumably don't have their fading ones in set 1. For example, Dark States and Storkea. The majority of their support will just be cards that should have been in a start deck. That quite literally are in a start deck. Like, they're nothing really crazy, as well as it doesn't really teach you how to really play these cards. It's like, watch, I'm gonna be honest here, if the anime fight that improves these start deck cards has their effects on there, there's no justification for this. They've actually exposed themselves. So this is a two-pronged attack of, you made start decks just basically vanilla for no reason, because these cards aren't really that crazy to be you need to go in these in the booster sets. But now you've also revealed that the lower rarity of the booster sets is not going to be anything crazy either. So you've done a double thing of, you kind of messed up set 1's lower rarity, and you've also kind of messed up this starter deck's actual ability to teach people of the game of Vanguard, and it also comes off as a scummy practice. $7 or $5 don't mean much when you're not really showing the actual value of Vanguard. Another point to note is that the Overtrigger is also not in the start deck. That means now they have to go buy an Overtrigger, which also now reveals that they have to now learn. They're now hidden from what an actual Overtrigger does. And I think someone made the argument that, like, if you have to hide that Overtrigger existing until they actually get in the game, the Overtrigger shouldn't exist. And I think that's pretty much the whole point. It's like, if you yourselves are trying to hide the Overtrigger from new players, that is a sign that you need to cut the Overtrigger. Like, I think it's time. I think it's time to pack it up, B. I think it's over. Like, if you're having to jump through hoops to hide the OT, it's over. So that's another thing, right? But, like, you know what? Hey, you can make the argument. You know, these cards are $7. These commons are going to be, like, nothing anyway, so it doesn't matter. Well, firstly, also the the main boss is also just kind of whatever. That's also another thing. So, you know, that's another thing. We don't know what the other boss is gonna do, but we're all gonna assume that probably like the first effect is gonna be there, and the second effect is gonna be based on their nation. So the main boss ain't looking too hot either to be like a main key. So that's another thing. And you know, if it was just there, you know what? Hey, these aren't. You know, it's gonna be like, hey, these aren't made for us. You know, even if the energy crest is necessary, all we can do is hope that there are box toppers in, box toppers in set 1. That'd be good. We love that. That'd be cool. And, you know, not to mention that you don't need the energy little tracker. You could just take the, the energy cards that are going to release in set 1. We've kind of already seen those before and whatnot. And that'd be okay. You know what? $7 for $7, or, you know, translate 700 yen, or translate that to English dollars. That's like what, $4 or $5. Not bad, right? It's a little pricier than it's equivalent to what the start decks they were on release, supposed to be on release here. That's fine. And then somehow English decided to ruin it all. So we come up to the realization that the quick start decks have been renamed into the start-up trial decks. And trial decks are different from start decks, because trial decks are meant to be like trial decks are meant to be like, start decks are meant to be like little baby products for people. Trial decks are meant to be for people who really want to get into the game. And so far, and remember, this is the info I got from, these are the 2 English slides I got. So none of the products are going to change. So they will all be 55 cards, and will all have the same thing. There will be grade 3 Sentinels with vanillas, and everything else is vanillas. You'll still have the PR cards be the random triggers. You have the PR cards be the Sentinels with the chance of sanctitude. And you'll also have the convenient packaging belt that can also be used as a deck holder. So that is a whole thing for 50 card sleeves. And they also announced that they will also add in a pack of 58 card sleeves. And a set of fighters coins. And of course, first guide and a play sheet. So they are basically packaging this like the Leonor Jeweled and Youthbird trial decks. But they're not the Leonor and Youthbird Jeweled trial decks. They don't have the amount of they don't have skills. They don't have effects, because you have to get them from set 1. They didn't say they're going to change that to be like, yeah, you're going to have those skills instead. You don't really need that. It's basically going to be reprinted in set 1, so you don't have to worry about that. Like, you added the play sheet and first guide are already in I think in the Japanese version, the Satisfier clones. But the pack of sleeves and the convenient package for deck holding, that is English exclusive. And I would be okay with that if it weren't for this detail that 50 cards kind of revealed to everybody. And it is, yeah, I had a feeling the reason they added the start sleeves and deck box to the startup trial decks was to get the usual trial deck pricing. Just got confirmation The pricing is similar to the overdressed trial decks 1 through 3, around $15 to $18 each. And he says that he got a plan for him, and that's a whole different thing. I'm gonna talk about that. So keep in mind, yeah, $15 to $18 for a thing that was posted in Japan as 700 yen for a mediocre boss, 50, almost 80 cards worth of vanillas, basic sentinels that you're going to replace these players are going to replace the second they dip. I mean, players are going to replace the second they can. One of 3 like effect cards, one Neo Sentinel, or a rare Elementaria Sanctitude. So it has not changed its contents from the actual thing, but because it added sleeves and a convenient deck holder, which is probably just going to be reused from the, I don't say reused, but rather just going to do it there to push this from a $5-6 product to a maximum $18 product, not including the source, dude. Let me see what else I'm missing before I actually rip into these. So, okay, no, this is not making sense. So, this somehow beat, I was thinking about this. This somehow beat my opinion on the current state of the Will-Dress TDs. Because at the very least, the Will-Dress TDs did everything better than this. Somehow. It had less phantom cards. Cards that, like, yeah, but the phantom cards they did have were the fake Leonor, which still had an effect that at least taught you what the deck's main goal was, even if it didn't have the consistency piece. But still also counted as the other Leonor. So if you were working towards getting like the Leonor in the set, you still at least had 4 copies. Still at least 4 copies you can still work on and replace slowly. That's fine. Secondly, right, and also those the ride line and like Senator cards were also given like knowledge of the original of how to play the game, what certain things do and whatnot. You had that in there as well. Then you also had the cards that those were actually of in the actual tribe themselves in an alternate pack, right? It's like once you learn the game, all right, switch those out with these cards that are right here in the package themselves. Let's actually play the closest to a real game Vanguard we can. And then you also have a power-up pack, which then also gave you powerful, also gave you new cards that also changed up your deck and gave you a little boost up, right? It's like somehow it just worked. That's right. The Phantom cards were all accessible except for the main boss, which even if its main boss was a Phantom card, it still at least gave you leeway to then try and get into new cards. That's the whole point. That's one thing. Like, including a pack of sleeves and a convenient package, that is not, no one asked for that. That's not part of the original product. You changed the product so that you can boot up the card to $15, $18, allegedly. I'm not saying 50 cards isn't, right or correct on that, because 50 has gotten a lot of this confirmed and whatnot, where he's a seller, he is for the community. I would not completely discredit him off of that. So that's another thing, right? So basically what you're telling me is these sleeves cost, sleeves in their box cost $10 to $13 more, and upgraded this price for something that was literally meant to be a basic beginner product that you just threw away. So we are now in another two-prong situation, which is Bushiroad in Japan has botched these start decks by saying, yeah, these start decks are here. These are obviously made for little kids who read Skyrider or watch the Vines and be like, I want to play the game, and just pick up this thing, don't know what's going on, just play the vanilla thing and go. Right? These are literally for little babies. Right? These are for little children, like 8 years and under, to play the game, understand the game, and then when they want to, when they learn with their older brother or whatever, or go to a locals, they can then get these new cards which are all in common and rare, and actually just put them into your deck like the real thing, and actually play real Vanguard. Also, you hide the over triggers because you're ashamed of it. That's kind of call what it is. You don't hide the over trigger because you're ashamed of the OT not existing. Because you're not ashamed of the camp there, right? That's the whole thing. Then you get to the PR gotcha you have to do for actually trying to upgrade your deck instead of just having them all just put together there and just don't have to do it. So already it's worse than the trial decks originally. It's now worse than the start decks, because even though those start decks, they didn't have Sanctitude, they didn't have the PRs, they didn't have the effect triggers. Their argument for them not having them is that they didn't exist yet. Their whole point was to get people into the game for like cheap, low investment. That means you want to play the game, you then have to invest more. But you have a low investment. You spent 300 yen to get these decks to play your some overdress, and depending on how much you like it, you then made that call, right? That's one thing. So obviously, like someone put it, like these are obviously made for like little babies in Japan. That's cool. But then English comes up and says, no, these trials are more for like teenagers, despite the fact that they have the same effect, same stuff that the Japanese version has, and then also basically says like, yeah, they're also gonna price gouge you for no reason. Like this is the problem. It's like and it makes me so upset that I had to see Bushi Matt and Shunichi Taira come onto that live stream and then basically have to try and move behind all the details of that. And I didn't like that, because I like those people, and I definitely know that like this has to be. There's no way they fumble this. There's no way you fumble this like this, and that's the problem that I have. So I'm gonna kind of point you to the video, and this is from Lulz BG. No, straight up, I am right here. I got my image, bro. Like I'm right here. I'm in the video somewhat, and they have links video, and I encourage you to watch it because it's also another thing. I also encourage you to watch the podcast that just dropped from Nexus at Night, and I'm gonna probably like put that in like the description about that exact moment when they kind of do talk about the star decks themselves. And I kind of want you to kind of look at that and kind of look at people who's in there. My final take on this is that if it was, I understand the idea because you want kids to be in the game. However, looking at this as a player, from a starter perspective, none of these cards are anything that straight up says, oh, you can't learn the game with these. These are too complicated, you can't understand this. Like you can easily just do this, right? How else you gonna learn Energy Blast? How much you gonna learn Counter Blast? How much you gonna learn Soul Blast? Right? You don't even learn Soul Blast. Your one like main grade 3 only uses Counter Blast. at least in here, and there's no telling if it's going to use Soul Blast or whatever any other like decks or whatnot. But if you want to play Dragon Empire, you see the cool dragon, because you see the cool dragon with the super sword. Like, I don't know what Soul Blast does. What does Soul Blast do? So you don't get a way to actually use these effects and effectively. So it's like I don't appreciate what they did there in that regard. I can see what they were trying to do, but I just don't think it was the right idea. I think the way they handled it in the Wildress trial decks was better. Just objectively, I think it was just much better handled. I think just them hiding the overtrigger is also another thing. It's like, just ban it, guys. Like, if you're that scared to show show new players that the overtrigger exists, be they children or teenagers or adults or whatever, because this game is primarily adults right now, and I understand you want to make a younger audience kind of grow up with Vanguard. It's being stuck here and not giving them, not trusting kids and learning the game, which you have, right? You said you're going to show a special tutorial video of what's going to happen. Just show them the tutorial video of the actual product. Just do that. You don't have to hide the effects in a main booster set. That not only that also is like, it also kind of brings up in my head, just think of it now. It also makes you like, it also makes it look like you just couldn't come up with anything for set 1. Like, you had nothing in set 1 to really do anything with. So that's another thing. And also, shame on the English side, or whatever side is making this decision, because how are you going to then add in two things that no one wanted to then try to, according to a notable vendor community, and other vendors too, I don't know how many says that, yeah, we're going to, that says these things are going to cost 3 times as much as they should potentially cost, 3 to 4 times as much. Like, just because you want to put in a pack of sleeves that are probably going to be just of these bosses, which, let's be honest here, they look alright, but they're not going to be like someone's main strategy, and put them in a plastic deck box that people are going to throw away the moment they find a deck box that's going to be cooler. Like, it's frustrating. That's really the long and short of it. It's like, I don't know what else to say here, bro. Because you've managed to just fumble it all. Right? Like, the goodwill, I think the problem with Vanguard these past year and a half or 2 years has not been the actual gameplay. I think the gameplay has been okay, right? I think you have some criticisms of it, and that's fine. But I think the gameplay has gotten, changed over time. Like, I finally got to really play a lot of Vanguard since Ringfest, BCS and whatnot. And I really do like how standard is somewhat. I feel like there's a couple things here and there that could be really worked, and I think Divine's adding more cards as the main deck combined with the energy system might change a lot of that. So that's one thing for defensively, because now you have more room for defensive stuff. But also, I think the real problem, and this is the real point I'm trying to make here, is that the real issue is that I think the goodwill and logistics of the game, outside of gameplay, are what are hurting it. Sets are very, very bloated. I didn't talk about this in the previous one, but they showed up the ratio of set 1. There's going to be 18 triple rares in that set now. And there's been no sign like Magic or Shadowverse Evolve where they've changed it that you get more like high rarities in a box now. They haven't shown that. And I think that's a questionable decision, but we have to see as we get. But that is like what, 2 months later. I think we have to wait and see on that. But if it doesn't change, or they refuse to change it, that's not a good thing. So that's one thing. Then the second thing is just straight up, you know, sets, just, you know, sets anything, and then you pull this, both versions of the game botch up, right? Like, I've already made a video about, you know, Vanguard Korea, but it's like, if Vanguard Korea can literally, like, release product that's just directly just much more wanted to open than a English product or a Japanese product. Like, you can look at all their tweets, and when they're showing off product, they're like, yo, you hear to see English players, Japanese players both be like envious. It's like, man, I wish we could do this in English, or man, I wish Japan could do this. You know, that shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't be envious of a different variant of the game in a different country. That's just crazy to me. And then also English, like you know, I think the best way to I think Root Beer said it best in his little thing, like, fuck this deck. Like, excuse my language, but fuck it. This is actually ass. Like, every decision made with this start deck is terrible. It is disrespectful to new players. I think disrespectful to veteran players. I think it's disrespectful for consumers as a whole. I think it's disrespectful for new players, because it basically says, like, yeah, we think new players are just babies. We think new players can't figure out what a Counter Blast is. What a new player can't learn what a Soul Blast is. We don't know what a new player can learn how to ride a card. Right? We don't trust our player base to play the game, old or new. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think any new I'll be honest here, I don't think any new player should ever, you know, I don't think a new player should ever, you know, buy this. I say buy one just for the energy stuff, but I'm gonna be honest here, I think we'd be better off just probably getting some from secondary market, or wait for someone who actually, you know, makes like these, you know, those special things, like say the triple rares, or the other artists who are going to do, you know, content like this, which are going to make like their own things, and just wait for them to actually make something. As for new players, I say go ahead. I say I think the problem is, like, new players, I say get one. If you really want to try Vanguard, get one, because it's going to be the best basic thing you'll have for a while. But also, I would say, also just wait for, say, a friend, or go to a card shop, and they would probably just have a fake version of these, and just put them in, and they just rather just teach you there. So I would say just go to the card shop yourself and just go there if you have a card shop, because I know another issue is outside of Japan, there's there aren't as many card shops there used to be that support Vanguard or Bushido products as a whole, which also sucks. The long story is, just do better, guys. Like, I don't want to go into 20. Like, this is probably gonna be the last negative video of 2024. Thank God. Oh wait, suck at the road just video. Shoot. This is gonna be probably the next to last negative video of 2023, and I don't want to go into 2024 watching both sides of the game mess up in ways that just shouldn't be possible. You've had 13 years of what works, what doesn't. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel, and stop trying to price gouge. Stop trying to price gouge all these prospective players with this scam. This is a scam. This English version is a scam. I'm sorry, I have to say it. The Japanese version at least makes more sense than you having to shove in 58 sleeves of something we don't even know. We haven't even seen what the sleeves look like. And we got 4 months to do it. And if they're just like regular card with Vanguard, I think this is a scam, bro. I'm sorry. Like, this is the problem I have to say it. Like, it's a scam, and I don't want to say that. The loan service just do better, guys. That's it. I'm out. Peace. Okay, I think that's what I'm gonna cut up for video. So yeah, I think that's it for stream. You know, it's been 2 hours. Thank y'all so much for coming through. You know, we had this little like fun, goofy moment. I might make the I might make like the little Power Rangers thing, the little thing, small little thing on the other channel. But that's pretty much it, guys. You know, thank y'all for tuning in. Stream will be up until until I kind of get it done. So yeah, thanks guys. I'll see y'all next